Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Dragon Warrior 3. In the last part, we got here to Jipang, and now let's check out what's going on here. How you doing, old guy? Alas, my only daughter has chosen to be suffered. Wow. Sacrifice. Huh. That's dark. Oh, great. Let's see if there's anything peaceful going on in this building. Ah, pot. Gotta love it. Yeah, this one looks nice. Only there's a woman in it. Yeah, this girl here is the one who's supposedly being sacrificed. Well, is going to be sacrificed. But we're good Samaritans. Let's go talk to essentially the leader of this village and see if we can do anything about that. She is in the north of the village. Let's go check that out. You can talk to the other NPCs, but they pretty much say the same thing. Yayoi's gonna be sacrificed. Go talk to Himiko. And there she is. You can tell because she's a unique sprite. Are you the outliner called Dart? I despise outliners. Well, that's not entirely unheard of, honestly. Japan is pretty xenophobic. But yeah, this place is pretty much obviously based off Japan. So if she won't tell us anything, let's go fight that Orochi ourselves. But first off, as I mentioned in between parts, I grinded the Sage up to level 17. I got him and Dart, actually, a zombie slasher over at Samanao for 9,800 gold each. And this is what the spell lists are currently looking like. Sadly, I didn't learn one particular magic I wanted on Lowell, Rob Magic, because of the level range of that, but oh well. I'll get that soon enough. And welcome to Orochi's Maze, as I like to call it. It's pretty short. But we immediately get into some new battles, or a new battle, against a Fierce Bear and some King Frogors. Now, King Frogors you've encountered before, but Fierce Bears have 90 HP, 587 experience points, 66 gold, and they drop a Strength Seed. They are nothing too deadly. Gotta say, though, that I love how derpy their sprites are. Mind you, I gotta say, Akira Toriyama, he makes some consistently nice-looking enemies for the series. Mind you, Akira Toriyama is just a great artist. Because while his narratives are nowhere near as good as they could be, mind you, he's known for his action series, not so much his narratives, I suppose. Still, though, Dragon Ball is classic. I really should catch up on Super. I watched only episode 1, and I haven't caught it back up since. Anyway, next new encounter is against 3 Lava Bashers. 60 HP, 556 HP, 62 gold. They drop a Leaf of the World Tree, which is an item that revives target. It's pretty much the same thing as the Vivify spell you can get not too long from now. Basic strategy against these guys, though, unlike the Fierce Bears where you can pretty much just attack them, put them to sleep first, because they're very susceptible to that. Yeah. You could have actually run into, I think, an icicle variant of them at that one house I went to last part, I think it was, where that guy was looking for the Staff of Change. But, nah, I didn't run into them, thankfully. And next new encounter is against Derangers, which sounds like a weird Power Rangers spin-off in Japan. 80 HP, 458 XP rather. 58 gold, can drop a Poison Moth powder, which is there. They cast Chaos, which is the Confusion spell, and they get 2 turns per turn, or 2 attacks per turn, so watch out for that. Thankfully, though, if you just run into them on their own, they're nothing too dangerous. If you run into them with groups of more physical fighters, that could be dangerous, though, so watch out. This is actually the last variant of the Lumpus enemy, too. Anyway, there's a lot of dead ends you can go to in this place, none of which have any real treasure that's worth it. There's only really one treasure chest that's worth getting, in my opinion. That's just because of how interesting the item actually is. In fact, we're getting to that treasure chest pretty soon. In fact, it's in the room to the right. In this treasure chest is an item known as the No Mask. The No Mask is technically the strongest headgear in the game. It has 255 defense. It's equipable by every single class, but the turnoff is it's cursed. The person who is equipped with it is permanently confused. It cannot cast spells outside of battle. So if you have someone like a soldier, that could potentially be good if you have a way to negate them attacking your party, but otherwise it's not really worth it. Anyway, very quickly, we actually just found Orochi. Orochi has 300 HP, gives 10,720 XP, 240 gold, and will drop an Orochi sword upon defeat, actually. It's a guaranteed thing. But dangerous thing about him is that he not only gets twice 2 attacks per turn, but he also regenerates a lot of HP in between turns. The best way to negate it is get sap and sleep on him as soon as possible. Because he is he is susceptible to it. Beyond that, though, just have everyone that you can fight, maybe even use the parry fight trick like I tend to do a lot, and it should go down fairly quickly. Still not as threatening as Orochi from Okami no Kami Den, though, because that guy was honestly kind of frightening to fight the first time, but at the same time, very exhilarating. Then again, Okami just has glorious boss fights. Okami Den, they're alright, not as good as Okami's, though. Mind you, that's what happens when you make a sequel to a Wii, well, PS2 game, ported to Wii eventually, on the DS. Actually, looking at this guy now, he actually reminds me a lot of the green dragon enemies from later games. Yeah. Honestly, not a very hard boss if you're a high enough level and you just know the right strategies, but be careful, he can still be dangerous. He can breathe fire, I remember for a fact, which can do like 50 damage. No, probably closer to 30 damage, but if he does it twice in a row, that can be quite dangerous. And he gives a crap load of experience, as I mentioned, so decent amount of level ups for everyone. And he drops the Orochi sword, as I mentioned. The Orochi sword is actually why I didn't get a zombie slasher for the soldier, because it's a more powerful weapon, gives 65 attack. And if you use it as an item, it actually casts defense, which is pretty good. What the? Himiko, you must tend to your injuries at once. Wherever did you get into such a fight? Just take a guess at what's going on here, guys. Just take a guess. You're the only ones who've seen my true form. So long as you're good and keep quiet, I won't eliminate you, understood? Nah, I'm not feeling that. You're a gigantic dragon, I like killing them. I see, you'll never get out alive. I'll see how you taste on a skewer. And you have to fight Orochi, which is the exact same fight all over again, only it doesn't actually have a drop. Sap, sleep, same strategy really applies. But yeah, the Orochi sword, 65 attack, can cast defense as an item. Can only be equipped by the soldier and the hero, though. Which is opposed to the zombie slasher. Zombie slasher's 65 attack, actually. It's really the same sword, actually, now that I think about it. The main difference is that the zombie slasher can be equipped by more classes and does extra damage to undead enemies. I prefer the Orochi sword on the soldier just because it's free. Really? You know what this actually kind of reminds me of, this whole setup of fighting the boss and then fighting it again? It reminds me a bit of Zero Miss from Final Fantasy IV. Because if I recall, he technically has 200,000 HP, but what is actually going on is that he has two 100,000 life bars. 100,000 HP life bars, and once you deplete one, he automatically revives with another. If I recall, it's been a while since I actually played for him, though I love that game to death. Either way, Orochi's down. And it says it drops a treasure chest, even though it actually doesn't. Himiko's the Orochi. That rumor has spread throughout the country like a wildfire. Fiery? And so the day breaks. And in her place, we get a treasure chest which contains the purple orb. 2 down, 4 to go. Yeah, everyone knows. In fact, if you actually talk to people, say like, "Hey, thank you for saving saving the Jipang, rather, not saving Himiko. Thank you for slaying the Orochi, more accurately, and saving Yayoi." You can actually, I forget if I do it or not, I don't think I do. You can actually go talk to his Yayoi's brother and grandfather for some extra dialogue, but it's not really worth it. Because it's just like, "Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you." Mind you, NPCs getting a lot more dialogue like that. It's actually something that not many games did back then. Anyway, we're back in Lancel, and as you might notice, Lowell's actually in the front of the party. That's because we're heading to a place known as the Navel of the Earth next, and I want him in the front for very specific reasons. Also, this is what his inventory is looking like. I brought the final key to him, got 2 medical herbs, and I gave, actually nothing really changed besides that. Besides the fact I gave him the key and the 2 medical herbs. Welcome, Lowell. At this shrine you may try your courage. Is there one among you who with the courage to fight alone? Yeah. Very well, come with me. And when he meets fight alone, he meets fight alone. This next area you can only do with 1 character. I recommend you do it with the Sage for numerous reasons. First off, due to its spell pool, fairly decent attack power. I mean, it can do around 50 damage with the zombie slasher, which is pretty good for technically a magic type character. And honestly, just get through the spell pool and that. The 2 medical herbs are there as assisted healing items. And also due to the fact that it's technically lower in experience than the others, so it's easier for him to get more experience here than otherwise, because then you wouldn't have to catch him up as much. Enemies in this place, I actually don't run into any new ones, are mostly enemies we've actually seen before. Simiacs, Demonites, Killer Flies, stuff like that. You can also run into metal slimes here, but sadly, I did not for some reason. This area is also very short. It's a total of, I think, 3, maybe 4 floors. And we're already done with one of them. By the way, I recommend when you're done with the area, just use outside, because it's not really worth going to a place. Actually, no, it's 3! It's just the fact that that floor and this next one are technically the same tile set, just farther away from each other. Now, on this floor, we're getting a chest, but I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's not really worth it. We get the Armor of Terra Firma. 50 defense, cannot be sold or dropped, and only the soldier or hero can equip it. But, honestly, while it's technically stronger than the magic armor, which has 40 defense, the protection that the magic armor gives you against fire is more worth it in my opinion, because there's a lot of fire spells coming up later, not too long in the future. That looked like a pretty bad cut there. Huh, that's rare. Turn back! Did the face just talk to me on the wall? You better turn... Yeah, they are. Alrighty, that's kind of odd. It's like the gargoyles from Medieval. That's a game I haven't played in a while. Turn back! You can actually run into some decently hard enemies in this stretch, but for some reason I didn't. Either way, here's the main reason we came here. There's 2 things you can get here. Another medical herb, and this, which contains... the blue orb! Which is the reason that we're done here, the 3rd orb. By the way, I should mention, if I get an orb, I'm actually almost immediately going to go store it at Aliahan's Vault for 1 gold. Either way, now we're back! And after I leave the town, by the way, I will be rearranging my party to the way it was before, inventory and all. Just I wanted to get the stage ahead on some experience. And with that, we're actually going to head back to Jipang. Because our next destination is northeast of it. You're gonna head due east until you reach an island, and at that point, head due north. And there we go, now we head north. Ah, sailing. Don't you guys love it in games? Especially when the encounter rate's lower in the water, that's great. Either way, next new enemy is 2 marine slimes. 38 HP, 263 XP, 42 gold, and they can drop a wing of the wyvern. This is technically the second and last of this enemy type we can encounter. We could have also encountered slime snails before, back around Jipang or more. But I don't think I'm probably going to be running. I don't think I'm going to be running into them at this point. So yeah, like I said back in some game, I forget what, I just show new encounters that I find. Anyway, speaking of which, new encounter against the lethal armors. I actually grinded a lot of these guys back near Samanao. By the way, I should mention I grinded my sage up to level 22 in between the Navel of Earth and here. Mostly for the Snow Blast spell. But first off, let's talk about lethal armors. They have 70 HP, 558 XP, 96 gold. They drop a full plate armor, which I'll get into in a moment. They can cast defense, and they're pretty much immune to fire attacks, which a lot of enemies are going to be essentially coming up, which is why I want Snow Blast. First off, let's talk about Snow Blast. Snow Blast is a ice elemental attack that hits for essentially 70 damage, which is pretty good. It targets all enemies, too. Or at least all within a group. And the full plate armor, which those guys can drop, has 32 defense, but it can only be equipped by the soldier and hero. Not really worth it. And the next new enemy is a bighorn. Bighorns have 75 HP, 471 XP, 70 gold, can drop a fairy water, and that's about it. They're not really anything of note. Yeah. Thankfully, this tower is pretty short, though the encounter rate really seems to hate me. Next new enemies are Venom Zombies and Eliminators. Venom Zombies have 80 HP, 491 XP, 30 gold. They can drop an antidote herb. And as the name suggests, they can breathe poison on you, which can potentially poison someone. If you get that, either hope you get an antidote herb from them or just cast antidote. Which, at this point, if you had a Pilgrim, your Sage should have. And Eliminators have 120 HP, 502 XP, 64 gold, can drop a Chain Sickle, which is pretty useless, and can cast Stop Spell, which, as I think I mentioned before, is essentially Mute from Final Fantasy. Anyway, this area is actually pretty short. The main thing about it is that we're here for one particular item, but getting to it is the tricky part. First off, once you head up these stairs, head west. Then back upstairs. And upstairs again. And upstairs again. Until you get to these ropes. You're going to want to head to the second from the left one, head down to the third branch, head right, and walk down. You'll fall down onto this thing of chests. Most of these are acorns of life and gold. We want the one on the top left, though. By the way, on the floor prior to this one, all the chests there are pretty useless items. We also get some gold here. But the item that we're here for is this chest, which contains the Echoing Flute. Like a Dragon Warrior 2, you use that in a room where there's an area where there's an orb, and it'll cause an echo. And the next new enemy, and the final one for the part, is a Barnabas. 58 HP, 314 XP, 51 gold, can drop a Wayfarer's clothes, and other than that, is pretty vanilla. I can't even recall anything that's special about them. It's also the last of the vampire-type enemies. You could have run into these guys much earlier, going back to even Eggenbear. By the way, I should mention this area is called the Tower of Arp. Pretty strange name, but I'll take it. And with that, we're done here, so we're actually going to cut back to Samanao. First off, I should mention, I sold my Iron Shield off of the hero and the soldier off-screen because I'm here to buy some new ones, and also to do some plot. Or town plot. That's actually one thing I like about the Dragon Quest series. I think it pretty much started here, really. Though I suppose it has roots in every single one of the games. Each town has its own little mini-plot going on. We're here for 2 silver shields. 8,800 gold each, so that they can break your wall pretty easily. But if you do as much grinding as I have, you should have easily enough money. It still hurts spending that much when you have so fairly little in comparison to other RPGs. Because I'm used to like Artanelico or Final Fantasy where I have into the hundreds of thousands by this point in the game. And wow, that's a lot of defense. To be specific, silver shields have 30. It can be equipped by the soldier, hero, pilgrim, and sage. I should probably get one for the sage off screen, actually. I'll have to think about that. And that's me checking my notes. Anyway, in terms of people we want to talk to, we want to talk to this old guy. The king goes to bed at night alone on the second floor. Well, based off what we know from before when we were in this town during that funeral march, which is only the first time, by the way, we should probably take advantage of that. This kid's the son of Simon. He travels seeking the whereabouts of his father. Rumor is that he's in some jail. Keep that in mind for later. Call it a hunch. And we also want to talk to the, not really grave, well, actually, yes, I guess he is kind of the gravekeeper, the Dompe of the town, if you will. Who is up here? The staff of change is what made the king strange. That's what I think about. Anyway, what about you? As of that, I thought you'd say that. I think he says that for both options, actually. Yeah, the staff of change. We actually, if you might recall, the guy back in the Arctic area or Canada or wherever that ice area was supposed to be said he wanted the staff of change, so we should probably keep that in mind. But with that, and me actually heading into the castle, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 8, we'll be checking out what's going on here in the Samanao castle and seeing what we can do about it. See you guys then.